go to Poland, respect the culture and respect the history and respect the people, and they will love you.
You were 25 years old and you become a millionaire. How it's like to be?
And then I had the biggest publishing house in France reach out to me. It was like, hey, we need a book for women.
Like when I met you and you told me you were a writer, I was like, yeah, right. Poland may not be the most welcoming country. When we see a foreigner, we want to chit chat, we want to know him or her. But at some point when we watch, the news and we see migrants and we are like, oh my God, we don't want them here.
I was always attracting the wrong type of women. They were the most beautiful, gorgeous, sexiest, naughtiest, crazy girls. And I had so much fun. I have all love for them. But it never lasted,
Why?
Because there was nothing coming into the bank account. And I was like, my life is over. Dzień dobry. Welcome to Warsaw Confidential, Poland's #1 podcast in English. And today,
there is going to be a little switch. So, Kamal, thank you for being a host. Now it's my turn. I take over the show to show you who you're dealing with. Kamal, are you going to be my guest today?
I am your guest.
Stay tuned and get ready for this very intimate conversation about his life and my questions about this journey for over 15 years as we meet.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Before we start, I want to tell you about a place I call home. This place is Leila Restaurant and Lounge, located at the heart of Warsaw at Żurawia 32. I call this place home because, first of all, Leila is the name of my own mother. And this is the place where you find me having a meal or having a business meeting or simply just hanging out with my friends. I love Leila so much because this is where I see Polish people and friends from around the world come together to share a drink, a meal, a laugh, or a story. I am happy to announce that Leila is now a proud sponsor of the Warsaw Confidential show. And for you guys, we have a very special deal. You get 10% off your bill, your meal, drinks, whatever you get at Leila. You just have to mention Warsaw Confidential and you will get your discount. Thank you, Leila, for sponsoring this episode. I look forward to seeing you all there.
So, Kamal, the story of your life is really interesting. I know it because I'm your friend for like over 15 years. But, I feel like people who has watched your podcast might be wondering, who is this guy? Like, what is he doing in Poland? Because, to be honest, Poland might not be the best place in the world. I mean, it is, but we know it. Polish people, we know it. But, from outsiders, it might seem a little bit like exotic for someone like you coming from North Africa, from Muslim country, because, Poland may be not the most welcoming country. But what I wanted to ask you is really, what is your story? Who are you? Who is Kamal Jahid?
Wow, that's an incredible introduction and it hits many points because you mentioned the word exotic.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I was thinking about it back in 2008 when I just wanted to get out of Morocco because a lot of things happened. And the first thing that came to my mind is I did not want to go to France or to Spain or to England because that's a very popular destination for, Moroccans because of the language. It's easy to, just go to France and study or work.
You speak French, you speak Arabic, exactly. You speak English.
Yeah.
So the first
I didn't speak English that time. We're gonna talk about it. So when I finished my studies, I just wanted to get out. Like I said, I felt I needed a new challenge, but I just didn't want to go to France for some reason. I love French people.
Yeah.
All my friends are French, but I just needed something.
You were like 20 at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Super young, super hungry of life, with big dreams. What was your main motivator to leave Morocco and go further?
So the story begins like this. When I finished my studies, So 1 month before, I met these students. They were from Poland. They were, they were like the organization or association called ISEC. It was for students. They do exchanges. And I met these Polish students. They are like just chilling. And I was with my friends in this cafe. And my friends, they were just like, I love them, but they were just like boring, you know, like just the same shit, girls. And I'm like, man. And then I overhear this conversation in English. And I turn and I see this international group of people, and I just like, something attracted me and drawn me, and I just went there, and I'm like, hey guys, you guys look like you're having so much fun. What's going on? Who are you? And they're like, oh yeah, we're from Poland, and there was many other nationalities as well.
What was your first thought about Poland when you heard the word Poland?
I didn't know what it was, to be honest.
Oh, okay. So,
I'm not gonna lie.
To remind you, North Africa is not really Poland focused. Okay.
I was like, Poland. My mind was like, I definitely knew it was Eastern Europe for sure, but I couldn't locate it in my mind. Like, okay, this is Poland, next to Germany or. And I said, all right, can I have more information about this organization? They're like, sure, here is it. Okay, perfect. And that's it. And I continue to live my life in the most normal possible way. Did the exams. My girlfriend at that time, she broke my heart. And I'm like, it got my, it was incredible. Yeah, she did. And
So you were 20 at the time, just graduating studies, university. So probably your parents, the society was expecting you to get married, have kids, but then your heart was broken. What happened?
Well, this was actually the catalyst of change, because I remember I loved this girl with all my heart, but I was doing all the wrong things at the same time. When I look at them now, and I was like, I was the nicest human being, to her, and I was just like too nice, to be honest.
Okay. So you feel like being too nice for a girl is not really
definitely. Oh, we're gonna. Yeah.
I'll argue with this. I'll argue with this.
I mean, definitely, but that's like another topic.
Yeah. What
I'm trying to say is, actually, by the way, the book, because I read that time, a book is called it's Glover, the author. It's an incredible book, like Stop Being Mr. Nice or something like that. I highly recommend it. So when I was reading it, it just like resonated with me, because the problem is when you're too nice, people mistake it for like weakness, And
so kindness is a weakness.
It is not. It is absolutely not weakness. But some people mistake it for weakness. And I mean, we jumped here to the waters, but I believe like women, they obviously look for a stable, strong man that will make them feel safe and secure. But when you are too nice, they think that any other man or any threat can just come and walk over you. Yeah. Problem with being too nice and too kind is that it seems fake, because you are like, she sees this popular, let's say, guy, and is like, why is he nice? There's something weird is hidden. And that's true. There's a lot of insecurities that were hidden, and we're going to talk about it. And long story short, heartbroken, I got my bachelor, and I'm just like bored. And And then it hit me. I went to this website. I Googled it, and then apply for internship. And then I got the list, and I see like these popular destinations, France, and like there's millions of applications, people waiting. I'm like, man, they're never gonna pick me up. And then I'm like scrolling, and then I see Poland, nobody applying. And then I apply, and like 3 or 4 days later, they're like, yo, we're interested. We have this position for you. Yeah. It's actually in Orlen, which is in a humongous company.
Yeah, it's Polish
the oil
and
company.
Gas company. Yeah.
And they had this EU project, and they needed some people from like a different part of the world. So I was the African representative. We had like some people from Asia, from Brazil, from China, from Ukraine. And it was an incredible project. So I arrived here. I landed in Warsaw, and I immediately knew that I'm going to live here.
You're going to live here
I just knew it was a feeling that I couldn't explain at that time. It was so intense. And they say, okay, actually, we're not going to be here. We have to go to Płock. I was like, what's this Płock? And I remember waiting for the bus. It was like a 1 hour and a half drive. And as I see, the bus driving away from the city and the skyline disappearing in the horizon, I'm like, where are they taking me, man? And then we arrived to Płock, and I was like in a complete shock. I was like, well, this is not what I signed up for. Little did I know, I had the best time of my life in Płock. I met some incredible people. They were not even speaking English at that time, and I was not speaking English at the time. But we were able to communicate and talk, and it was incredible. I remember this guy, Norbert. He wanted to learn English, and he came to us. He's like, man, I'll protect you. I will bring you the food, pierogies, and everything from my mom, but I have to practice English with you guys, and I'm going to come every day. I was like, yeah, and he became our Polish brother, and, he was like protecting us. I mean, we didn't have any problems at the time. Yeah. And we're talking about 2008.
So back in 2008, Poland was a totally different country. Warsaw was different. But from what you have said, it really stirs me that you've noticed that we are this country of perspective, that we are very welcoming at some point. And the third thing is like, you were so bold, like you were so freaking like adventurous. Because, it is the hardest part in your life to take a risk, to leave something that you know so well and just go and explore the wild, let's say the wild. So haven't you been lonely a little bit?
Slowly, maybe not.
Scared?
Scared, no. You know what? When someone asks this famous question like, oh, if you had to go back in time, what would you tell to your younger self? I wouldn't tell him anything. I would just say, man, I'm proud of you because you have massive balls. Because what I did is, because when I think about it, I don't think I have this in me now to just say, you know what, I'm just going to go to this completely random country. I knew no one. It's just like...
Yeah, risk it all.
But talking about loneliness, he was also the catalyst of this, let's say...
Kamal 2.0.
Exactly. You know why? Because I forced myself to go talk to people, to make new friends. Because I came here, I had no one. The students and everything. But when we actually moved to Warsaw, and sadly, I was alone. And the only way, probably that's why I love parties. I found it like my environment is to go out at night and just throw myself and just start approaching people. Like, hey, my name is Kamal. I am this guy from Morocco. And most of the people, of course, you were rejected and everything. But most of the people were super curious. They're like, Morocco? Where the hell is that, And I found that fascinating because it allowed me, it's like they almost gave me this, the floor to tell stories. And I love stories. And I was like, you don't know Morocco? It's like, no, what is this, in Asia? I'm like, no. And then I'm like, well, let me tell you this story. So at that point, every night I would go out, because what happened is in the company we were working for, they fired us. They're like, you know what? We don't need this project anymore. You have to go back to your countries. I was like, there's no way I'm going back to my country. I have a visa for 6 months. I will stay 6 months. Plus, I couldn't change my flight because I took, remember, the cheapest option. And I was like, nah, man, I'm leaving after 6 months. So I had to find a solution. And that's why I launched the blog. And, but this, I remember these days with pride and joy, because every time I go out now, I just remember the differences. I was a nobody. Then when I go, contrary to now, when I go and you everyone basically, and everyone is saying hi, and you're like, man, that was a long way.
That's what I said, because when you approached Poland, you felt welcomed. But earlier I said that Poland may not be the most welcoming country because, there's a contradiction in this, because at some point when we see a foreigner, we're like, we want to chit chat, we want to know him or her. But at some point when we watch, the news and we see migrants and we are like, oh my God, we don't want them here. So this is a huge contradiction in Poles, that we love to know new people, but then we are afraid of them. So how would you describe Poles? How would you describe Polish people?
I would say that Polish people are the most loyal, incredible, honest people I've ever met in my life. And I'm not saying this just to throw rose at you, because you would be surprised. The craziest friends or Polish friends I have are the scary looking ones.
Okay, and, the bold guys with this big muscles.
Yeah. These guys, they might be scary, but they often just need a little, I wouldn't say love, but information.
Okay.
Because when they see you at first, and they see this brown guy walking around,
exactly, that's what I said.
I'm like, the fuck is this guy doing here? But I think there is something in me, and that's very personal, because I believe in energy, and it's all about the energy. And when you have this outgoing energy, which is, I would say, layered with respect and honor, because when I came here, and my grandfather, may he rest in peace, which is my father figure, because my father was absent, he had some problems, and, with alcohol and everything, but my grandfather was the father figure for me, and he gave me this one advice. He said, when you go to Poland, respect the culture and respect the history and respect the people, and they will love you. They will adapt you, right? He gave me this bag that you see here. I mean, this is the advanced version, but the first prototype. And he said, I wish you luck. I know you're going to do amazing. The second advice he said, and that's advice I would give it to any immigrant who want to be successful in Poland. He says, do not try to mix up with any Moroccans or Arabs.
Okay.
He said, not in a racist way, he said, I want you to grow. I want you to discover a new culture. Just do not, I need you to feel uncomfortable for these first days, months, weeks, whatever. Just do not look. And I find this is the biggest mistakes immigrants or expats, they do, is they often come to a new country and they are looking for people from their home country so they can do the same shit again. I'm like, that's not how it works, man. You left your country because you want to grow, you want to create an opportunity, you want to create a life, you want to help. Because we all want to help our families at the end of the day. That's the ultimate goal. I believe so. And so this too, and he gave me the third advice, which was style. He said, people going to judge you before you even open your mouth. And the way to fight that is you have to dress elegantly. And you have to dress nicely and talk elegantly and carry away yourself with grace. Yeah. And I took these 3 advices to heart and I just applied them. And I remember my first salary in Orlen, I went to Zara and I bought this cheap looking suit. And I think it was like, I don't know, at that time, it must be like 150 zlotys. But it fit so well because I was very skinny and it fit so well that it looked like some expensive suits.
So then you were reborn as a person you would like to meet by yourself.
Absolutely.
So you created, that was the storytelling by the clothes. So initially you were storytelling yourself with the clothes, with the image, with your respect, as you said. So can we assume that these are the rules that every migrant should really know in order to succeed in a foreign country?
So, like I said, Poland, like you say, is a very specific country and the Polish people are very specific. And because the country has been through so much, they don't want to go, they don't want to do it over again and again. I know you know what I'm talking about. So that's why they are a little bit reserved. But it doesn't mean they don't like migrants. Like I said, the friendliest people I met, they are the ones that look looking insane, and like the bold ones, and they just love me. I don't know. I must be unique, but It's because of this energy I have and the respect, and they can feel it, they can see it. Because when you see some people, like, for example, they're wearing their traditional clothes from their home country. It's just like, okay, it's nice, it's beautiful, but you cannot force it through people. Like, hey, this is me, and you have to accept me because I am. It's like, man, come on, relax. Why don't you experience a little bit, I wear the Moroccan stuff from time to time when I'm going out for a special party or something.
But you're not overwhelming people
Exactly.
with your culture, with your religion.
Exactly.
But then, on the other hand, you're from a very liberal country, Morocco. Like, talking about Muslim-wise, it's a very liberal country. So comparing to Saudi Arabia or Middle East, it's a totally different story. But do you feel sometimes putting too much culture on other people might be triggering? Yeah.
It's, putting anything on people is triggering because people, they don't want to be lectured. They don't want to be, it's like in sales, for example, people, they don't want to be sold to, they want to buy. I want to shop. I don't want you to come and, put this ad on my face. I want to enjoy the pleasure and, experience this. So when it comes to culture, it's like especially here, it's like I said, Poland has been through so much, and they just don't want it.
We don't like people to throw something on us. We wanted to explore it by our own time and in our own rules. That's pretty much. Yeah. I feel that might be actually a very important thing to say about Polish people.
And once you understand that, you can have a wonderful experience. Like, I've been here living exactly 12 years. I probably had minor incidents, but they never affected me. You know why? Because the Polish people that I know, they showed me so much love that it made me so strong that anything that happens, it just doesn't bother me. Like now in this Instagram, our reels and videos are going super viral, and there is always people saying, go back to your country, we don't want you here. But I just read these comments and I laugh because...
Oh, come on. I have to say, I'm from Poland and they tell me, go and die. So it's about hate speech. But, okay, so you said that it's beautiful, it's nice, but, we all know that it's not always pink and bubbly. So what kind of harassment have you experienced in Poland, if any?
Harassment? I don't think I ever got harassment. But let me think. I think good question. Now I think I know. So what I have a problem with is I call it the kind of micro racism, and this is from people who really don't understand, who I am. Because when I remember the first days when I came here, 2008, I would go to a supermarket, and that was before the Żabkas and the Carrefours and all this thing. And then the guy would be following me through the aisles because he's thinking I'm going to steal some shit. But again, at that time I was a student. I was not it was, I don't think I had this energy around me that I had afterwards. And so this little incidents, or when you're walking in the street and you see an old lady, and she has she stares and she has the bag, and then she's just hold it stronger. So these little things, I notice them because I'm very sensitive. I really like to observe and see things. But again, I cannot blame these people because it's just what the world is telling them, what the media is telling them. And if you make people scared, you rule them. Yeah. And it really never bothers me. And let's be clear here. I'm not saying this only in Poland, everywhere in the world. I might take a lot of shit when saying this, but in Morocco, we have also migrants that come from Africa.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to... Yes.
Yeah.
And the way they treat people, it just breaks my heart. The way they are treated there is just... It's not so nice. And I that's why I just know how it feels to be racially, isolated. And this is a global issue. It's not just Poland. Especially now because there's the rise of the extreme right politicians, and I just say, let it be who you are, and just keep going. It shouldn't affect you as long as you respect the culture, the country, and the history.
So let me ask you about your next chapter in life after being here in Poland back in 2008. But first, I have to ask you this question because I know there are media outlets like BBC who has depicted Poland as a very racist country. Why do you feel it's coming from?
That's actually an interesting question. Why would the BBC portray Poland as a racist country?
Because you're saying something totally different. Like you're saying we're the best, we're amazing, and we're heartwarming, welcoming, stuff like this.
Let's zoom out a little bit. And, Poland recently has been a little bit, let's say, I wouldn't say the bad student in the class, but the rebel one, when it comes to the EU.
Yeah, like Hungary and Poland.
Exactly. The kids, and they're like rebellious, they're young, and they have this incredible energy, and that pisses the old people, like just not because personally, but I feel like it's some kind of noise thing going on. And but to be honest, I just see no reason for bashing Poland, saying it's racist, because racism is a global issue. It's everywhere. Like we have it. I know we have it in Asia as well, in the US. Let's not even talk about it. And I
heard that Japanese are the most racist people in the world. Like in this ranking, there was like literally, I've seen this ranking saying that Japanese, Americans, they are the most racist countries in the world. And Poland, at some point, it is a victim of a very bad PR. And I know it because I lived in England, and people were like, oh my God, you're from this Eastern country that is so bad for foreigners. And I was like, no, it's not. I mean, we maybe are not so into Black people or darker skinned people, but we are very welcoming. We just need to know you better. So maybe at first we can give you the side eye, like, what the hell are you doing here? But then as soon as we talk with you, you are our puppy, like we love you.
Yeah,
we got you to the TV. We get this dark-skinned people on TV, and we are making them superstars. So it's not really that one-to-one, like it's not 1-0. It's not like mathematics. It is very complicated to explain to a foreigner that Poland is a welcoming country, but it has its own rules that you need to really follow.
Absolutely. And I always say, like, whenever you migrate to any country, it's like you go into a house, visiting some guests, and in any or every home, there are some rules that need to be respected. You can just mess around and expect that you're going to stay in this home. And I love the immigration, policy in Poland, because it's very efficient, and they make you really feel like you deserve to be here.
Okay, but then back in 2008, you were rejected to extend your visa. What happened?
I didn't apply. No, so the internship was for like 6 months, and I had to leave. And to be honest, at that point, I had in my mind, because of the tradition and growing up in family and everything, that I have to finish my master's. So I had this, like almost when you have a small rock in your shoe and it's bothering you, that I need to finish my master's. So I went back and I did go to the master's, and it was a completely boring environment that I felt that I'm dying every day that I'm going, because what happened is that my 6 months in Poland had made me a better man, like in the span of these 6 months, already at the age of 21 or something like that. So when I came back, and it comes, in the storytelling, realm, it's called the hero's journey. Because when you go out of your comfort zone the first time, like you have a problem. So I had my heart broken. I needed to find a solution. So I left Poland. I left Morocco. I came to Poland. I was completely in a new environment, no friends, no family, nothing. I had to make friends. I need to do some learnings, adapt, read about the history, the culture, the people.
And then you're back to the base one. Exactly. And what the hell am I supposed to do now?
Because if you don't go back home, you don't feel the change. So I took back with me my, let's say, learnings to Morocco. Yeah. And I sadly was like a hero, not to them, but to myself, because the way I was thinking, and it's funny that you mentioned. So the first thing that pissed me off is like, my best friend's like, oh my God, you're coming. Let's go out and have some fun. I said, okay, let's go out, Saturday, 8 o'clock downstairs. Perfect. And I remember he was like late 15 minutes. And I got so pissed.
Oh, because you already got the European.
Yeah, exactly.
European way of being,
and I'm like, And I was calling him like, hey, man, what the
What the
fuck?
hell are you doing? Yeah.
And then I caught myself, 15 minutes late in Morocco is nothing. People are like 2 hours late, and we don't care. It's like, it's fine. And I remember also, and I was like, I caught myself, and I was like, wow, this is definitely, but it was mainly noticed with the people. When I was in class, I was not the same. I was like this spark, and also I just missed the parties in Poland and the girls. I'm like, man, I just don't want to be here. So what happened now, and this is very deep, I would go to sleep and I have this lucid dreams that I was in Poland. It was completely unreal. And then I would wake up in the morning, and in the first 10 seconds, I realized that I'm in my room in Morocco, and I would be crushed. Like my whole day is destroyed. And I was like so miserable for 6 months in Morocco. 6 bloody months. Just going to this school, university, and not really wanting to do anything. And then I started looking again. I couldn't find anything in Poland. I found something in Germany, in Berlin, and I did took it because I had no choice.
So you believe that maybe if Poland is such a nice place to live, then maybe Germany would be the same.
Absolutely.
So what has happened with you in Germany? Kamal Jahid landing in Berlin.
Man. So first of all, these guys who hired me in the company, they thought I'm going to be comfortable in an Arabic neighborhood in Germany.
Outside the stereotype.
It's called Wedding. I mean, all love to Arabs. I'm an Arab. I love Arabs. But I'm just like, guys, I'm not here to mix with my fellow Arabs. I'm here to grow. I want to live in the most expensive area in Berlin. I want to live in Alexanderplatz or Friedrichstraße. And they were like so shocked that I mentioned this. And I really didn't like it because when I was going to work, I get out and I hear Arabic and I smell the Arabic spices. I'm like, fuck, man, this is Morocco. I don't want to be here. I was looking for an apartment, and it's a nightmare to find an apartment in Berlin anyway. But long story short, my experience in Berlin was also very beautiful, I have to say. And I just didn't, because I had this experience with the Polish people, and they adopted me so quickly.
Because we are Slavians. This is our regular basis.
But the Germans, they did not. I mean, like, my first month in Poland, people were invited me to their homes. They invited me to have a Christmas dinner. It was ridiculous. I'm like, why are these guys? For me, because what we do in our culture, we're a very welcoming culture. And if we have a guest, he's our king. And when I found this here, I was shocked.
You felt like home.
I was just like, this is interesting.
And now it's going to be the most viral type of video. Kamal Jahid saying that Poland is just like Morocco.
Yeah, but, there's the tourist office should hire me here. No, but what I wanted to say is all love to German people, but they were very close. They were very cold, and I remember going to the company and saying, Guten Morgen. Nobody replied. I was like, this is crazy, man. Okay, never mind. And kept going. But Berlin will stay forever etched in my heart because this is where my kind of career boomed. Because I was going in the metro, the U-Bahn, the yellow one, and I was writing a book because I had like 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening. Maybe not 1 hour, like 15 minutes twice. So I needed to do something because I was bored. When we had no phones at the time, remember, 2010, no internet in the phone, so you had to do something. Read a book or write. And I did write my first book in the Berlin U-Bahn. It's a book about, it's a funny thing, it was for women, how to find the man of their life. And so when I was in the company, they basically said, we were like just interns as well, so it was nothing serious. And I kept writing my book there until they fired me, and that was my chance to come to Poland. So because I just wanted to be here, I just want to be back in Warsaw with my friends, doing my thing. And I remember I wrote to Warsaw, the guys in the association. I told them, look, here's my love, Poland. I really want to come back. Can you guys help me? I need to do some job. I said, okay, we'll find some job for you. And they did eventually give me this. I was teaching actually, it's almost like we're talking about. I was preparing the students who were going for internships. We call it, the adaptation, cultural adaptation or something, to avoid the cultural shock. Because what happened to me is I had the cultural shock in Morocco when I went back. So that was my role. I was giving them lectures and everything. And at some point they said, we cannot have you longer than 3 months. You have to do something, because this is legal issues, visa, blah, blah, blah. And it forced me to create a company, because they said, either you're going to find a woman to get married or you do a company. And I'm like, well, I think I'm a little young to be married now. And so I was somehow forced to build a company and have it hire me so I can stay here legally. And that's what I did. And, I started writing books. I started the coaching business, and as we say, the rest is history.
But still, we are going to talk about it. When I met you, it was probably back like 2012. You were already a successful writer, author, whatever we call it. You were writing those manuals for first women, and then for the men, how to hit on women. So
how to meet women, not
how
hit.
To meet. Yeah, of course. Sorry, but how it started? When was the idea that you want to become a storyteller? What was the inspiration? Was it the loneliness in Berlin, or was it like you were always kind of a poetic vibe person?
So I think at heart I'm a very, let's say, nostalgic. I love nostalgia. It triggers in me so many emotions. And I remember, so like I said, I'm very observant. I like to observe, like when I'm like flying and being this happy, I really write down what I ate, what I did, what I was wearing, how many times I went to sport, etc., etc. And then I noticed in the span of months that I am the happiest when I am with a girl, that I am in a relationship, let's say. So, and then when I am not as performant, and I'm not writing, I'm not doing a lot of things. And then it reminded me how loneliness can just like kills what's inside you when it comes to, creativity, to work.
Yeah.
And I knew, I still do, a lot of men, they're like incredible. They have incredible personalities. They're amazing, kind, but they have no idea how to talk to a girl. And especially, this is going to find very controversial, especially the rich ones, the billionaires, not even the millionaires. The billionaires, they have no clue how to talk to a woman because they are like so successful. They know the money is not an issue, obviously. But when I hear them, they're like complete mess. And so that became my mission, not just the billionaires, I'm talking in general, to actually help men, because I know that when they will fix this love issue, it will trigger them, it will allow them to thrive in different areas in their life, in their job, in their passion, it doesn't matter. So that was my mission, to help men and women, by the way. I was doing it for both. And I just said, because I wouldn't say I was good at it, but I just had something to say, And I was writing these articles and they were going viral before virality was a thing. And I built the biggest dating website in France because I was writing in French. And I was coaching the biggest CEOs, the biggest entrepreneurs, and they were even coming to Poland. Here, we have this weekend transformation, we call them, and I would take them out. I would, change their style. We would design a suit for them. It was the whole package, and it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. And yeah.
So back in the day, you invented yourself. You were not a psychologist. No. You were not an expert. You were just an ordinary guy that wanted to show other guys how to be a better man, how to be, a better boyfriend. So you wrote your first book. How was it like to find a publisher in France?
That's the thing. I was a lucky one. They found me. So
Because you had a blog.
Yeah,
like
so
that.
this
It was a
blog was
blog
very
time,
popular. Yeah. It was a very, very popular blog. And then I had the biggest publishing house in France reach out to me. It was like, hey, we need a book for women. We see that you write for men, but can you write a book for women? And I was like, well, that's funny because I'm actually looking for some job. And this is in 2010. Because remember, I just built the company and I needed some money to stay here. And I said, I can do it. No problem. Give me 3 months.
Do you have this book?
Yeah, it's there. It's actually,
Can we see it?
yeah, we can.
Where is it? So is it the book? What was the first book you wrote?
You know, can you grab the ones there? Like,
Oh, you want to see me standing, right?
oh yeah,
It was
you look
the
great, by
one-
the way.
It was which one?
Bring them all. This, you know, from the you see the magazines. Everything after the magazines is mine. No, the other side. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Oh, yay. That wasn't scripted. That was actually...
That was not scripted,
Okay,
guys.
so now this is a reader corner.
I wrote all this.
It is. I mean, you know, like when I met you and you told me you were a writer, I was like, yeah, right. And then, like, honestly, guys, these are your babies. You are a father. Okay,
So I'll
tell
show
me
you the.
which- Yeah, what was the...
This is the one. My God, man, this book was written in Berlin and finished in Warsaw.
La séduction
Mode-
d'une proie pour elle.
I show it to the camera here, and you see, I have one copy. My dog tried to edit it, and as you can see here, I think I dedicated. Wait, to whom I dedicate? I think to my mother. Let me see.
I can realize that people are listening to us now, and they're like, "Oh, he wrote a book. Like it was so super easy." But it wasn't easy, right? You had to take an effort and start doing this. But probably some people might say, "But you know, it's how to start. I'm not that talented. I'm not that, you know, bold or courageous." What would you advise? How would you advise people who are intending to change their life and invent themselves? What would you say to them?
So I think when it comes to creativity or anything you want to do, people tend to fall into the trap of perfection. They think that the first thing they ever gonna do, it has to be perfect. I mean, when I read this book that I wrote, I'm a little ashamed.
Okay.
Because it's a mess. There's almost no structure. It's a cool book because it has like stories about my life in Warsaw and everything, and how I was meeting women, etc., etc. But I think again we will go back to your observation, which is having massive balls. Can you imagine a guy who's 21 and he's like writing to women or for women, telling them how to meet a man? I had no fucking clue what women wanted at that time.
No, but
But
it's not about if you knew or you didn't know. It's about you trying. It's, you know, like step by step, baby steps, just, you know, the little to little. And then at the end of the day, you wrote your own book by the age of 21. This is major. You were so self-confident. And it was also a drive for future successes, right?
Absolutely, because that for me, this resilience that I built, and also because people, the main problem we have, I mean, across all the history of time, to be honest, is the fear of rejection, you know, because now all what you have to do is to take action, you know, act on your desires. Because now, for example, and this goes to my teaching to guys, and I have this theory, for example, you will never meet the woman of your dreams on social media, ever. Maybe
Not
some
on Tinder.
maybe some did, but this is my personal theory. And if you want to be with a woman, you have to actually go and approach her. You need to feel this fear inside you that you might be rejected. And she, on the other hand, needs to see that you are an actual man and you are not afraid to come and talk to her. The best relationship I had with girls are the ones that I approached. And I call it a cold approach. And the one that failed are always the ones I met through Instagram. And that's also, you know, a completely different topic. We can talk about it maybe some other day. But this is, again, my observation. And social media made people easy, lazy. They think everything is accessible. You can swipe left, right, you can order some food, and it just makes you this passive, lazy person, and you just expect that everything gonna fall into your hand. It doesn't work like this. So that was my whole approach in coaching, is just fucking do it approach. Funny thing, in my book, I was telling the women to do the same. I was telling them, look, if you see a man, just approach him. Just go talk to him. The best tip I could give a woman if she likes a man is just ask for his help. Ask for his advice. Like, hey, I have this phone. I don't know how to not close this app, because you wouldn't. Just invent something stupid. And the man will feel that he's his
like
saver.
Pretend to be so vulnerable.
No, it doesn't have to be that
Okay.
that's glamorous, but legitimately ask for help. Like, your laptop is not working. It's like, hey, my laptop, I feel like he's slow these days. Can you please check what's going on? Okay. I was like, of course. Hey, the hero is here to save the day. You tricked him. I mean, it's not tricked, but actually, yes. So I remember this when I was in Starbucks, or I don't know, the cafe. So there was this lady behind me, and she tapped my back, and she said, look, I'm feeling crazy today. Whatever you're ordering, I am going to order it. And I found that approach unbelievably efficient and amazing. I said, wow. I said, what if I'm, I was joking around. I don't remember what I said, but we were flirting, because I knew she was flirting. I was flirting. And we ended up in a relationship that lasted, I think, a year or so.
So after the success of your first book, have you felt more encouraged to do more, to make it more?
Yeah.
Because you were so influential at some point, and men were really following you. They were like your believers. And what kind of Kamal Jahid was it back then?
So first of all, when I wrote the first book and the second, I were very successful. I made the most money that I could ever dream of, or even it was insanity.
How much?
I can't tell, but it was a lot. And I was like, wow, I made it. And so I started hiring people, writers, editors, and the team was growing. I think at some point we were like 6 writers. And I just became an editor-chief. So I was not writing anymore. And we were basically releasing, not me, I wrote, I think, 7 books, but we were releasing trainings, master classes, we were doing seminars. It was a serious business, but I was slowly being disconnected from who I was and who I am. Because at some point, because I grow so much that I've become, all this, fancy parties and invites and all these things. So people, my students, they couldn't connect with me anymore, because they're like, well, look at this guy. He's just rich. He has this amazing suits. He's going, business class. And, so I think I fall in the trap, not of showing off, but just kind of selling the dream. Because I'm a marketer by profession, by heart. I studied marketing, and I think I wouldn't say I was doing it too much to flaunt or to show that I'm wealthy or anything. I'm not. I'm broke, actually, now. We need a sponsor for this show.
You can donate us every day.
I'm broke now. I don't have that money anymore. And I think that's when I started to disconnect. And then I remember we made the biggest mistake in history, which when we had the radical feminists attack us. They attacked the blog because it was my mistake, and I kind of, let's say, wanted to play with the fire. So a guy wrote this article it was a sex article about how to, I don't know if we can say it, we're going to be censored, how to hard a girl. Oh. And, but it was, the headline was not misleading, but it was like a spicy headline. just to get people to click. But the actual article was not bad. It was like, you have to have this kind of respect. She needs to agree, all these things. It was like, but the headline was bad. It was like really pushy and, a little bit degrading. Yeah. And this is when I understood that the world of internet, people don't read the article. They just read the headline and then they judge you. And so we now have this army of, I call them radical feminists because they were radical feminists. They see this brown guy teaching French guys or French women, giving them advice, and there's like, no, this guy cannot be doing this because like the website grows so big. We had 1 million visitors a month with no ad, nothing, organic, which is by today's terms is insane.
So have you been this Andrew Tate back in the day of French people, French guys?
I was a much better version of Andrew Tate because I was respectful.
But you were earning money on teaching guys how to talk or hit to women. And then you had this very controversial article about how to make women to be submissive. And it sounds like you were really playing with the fire.
This was 2013, okay? So the world was a different place than today. So people were a little bit less, triggery. So, but that time, this was the first, actually, the Me Too movement was, breaking out and everything. And, Andrew Tate is here, I'm here, completely here. Because I think I have class and grace. And I don't disrespect women. I love women. And I never talk bad at them or to them. And it's just completely different worlds. And I think that's why my style resonated with guys who became, my clients and students, because they see that the approach is respectful and doable. You can't just like treat women like shit and expect that you can. It might work on some, the toxic ones, it does work on them. I'm not gonna lie. If you want a toxic woman, good luck, have fun. Treat her like shit, she will want you. But that's not the woman we want. That's not who I am, and that's not what my students want them to be. So in an influential level, I think, yes, it was somehow like
connected to Andrew Tate?
No, it was not connected to Andrew Tate, but in a similar style. I was doing this. It was actually a whole community. It was a lot of guys doing it, not only me. But I was the only one that I was actually doing it for women as well, which made me, it's like it was our unique selling point, our USP. And because people would come, especially after the controversy with the bad article, people, when they came, again, that month we made so much money that we could count because people, when they were reading the article, they're like, well, actually, this is a good article. I mean, good website. And they were buying the books, the coaching and everything. So again, blessing in disguise. This feminist attack on us or on me was the biggest blessing in my life.
But
because
it was also your downfall at some point.
I mean, I think it slowly, wouldn't say killed the business, because I shut down that business in 2020. So it lasted like another 7 years, pretty much on autopilot, because my passion was not there anymore. Because I could see, because they hacked the website, they hacked my bank accounts. It was a mess. It was a full-blown campaign against me. And I was on the biggest TV channels in France, TF1, France 5, etc. And that week, and I couldn't, because we were used to, like grow, business, having money like every day. I mean, like we were selling, I don't know, 100, 200 books a day. And at some point in 1 week, there was nothing. There was nothing coming into the bank account. And I was like, my life is over. What the hell? And that's when I said, okay, I need to diversify my businesses. And that's how we launched the Glamorous Pochette, business. And that was my, let's say, entry to the fashion world. And again, it was very successful because all what I did is wear a nice pochette, go out, to the Clubs Delight and Vauxhall where I met you.
Yeah, where we met.
And I remember you approached me and you say, "Oh my God, I love this suit and this pochette," remember? And that's how we started the conversation.
I feel what you have said before about the appearance and how we judge people on appearance it's a true, like it's a true statement. But still, I want to ask you, because the pochettes are, of course, a very important part of your life and career, because then you have realized you were a designer. But still, you were 25 years old and you become a millionaire. How it's like to be?
Well, I didn't become a millionaire, but close enough. Close enough.
Okay. How it's like to be so young and have so much money.
I think
And power. And you were influencing people. Like you felt like a god, haven't you?
I did. And I think it destroyed me, and I'm still paying the price for it, because I was not used to that kind of money and I didn't know what to do with it. And so I was spending it in the most stupid way, like trips, first class tickets for no reason, clothes. It was very stupid, now when I think about it. But it taught me, because I like to say it like this. At that time, for some reason, I don't know, I still connected to Poland because it was like my lucky place. Everything I touched was turned into gold. I did the blog, it exploded. I did a book, it exploded. I did the glamorous pochette, it exploded. I did the Mac Nest, it exploded, And so I thought that I am unstoppable, I'm a godlike. Whatever I can do will fail. People don't know. I launched so many businesses that failed, especially after. And I was like, why don't I have this magical touch anymore? So I think having access to money that young was also, again, it was a blessing, and also a really, really tough lessons, because now I'm thinking, well, if I had that money, oh my God, what I would do. And I just, I don't like the word regret, but I wish I had invested a lot, in real estate, and which I didn't. I just bought like 2 apartments, but I could have bought at least 5 or 10, but I didn't. I fall into the trap of too much parties, too much craziness, too many trips, too many, and I think I didn't even maybe care about my family. I was not even I was sending some money, but it didn't cross my mind that they needed money, because at that time my father was still working, and I was like, man, it was all about me, being this selfish asshole who achieved success. I was proud because I built everything from scratch. Let's be clear here, nothing came to me this easy, because I was working my ass off. I was probably sleeping, 4 or 5 hours a day. I was editing, writing, making videos, all these things. And here, the guy can tell you, man, remember the videos we were making? 2012, hustling. I launched a VIP, like Ace VIP's company, like for making VIP parties. It failed. I did so many things, and I felt like I deserved this. And so I kind of became a little bit lazy, because my business was so automated. Like I had to work only 1 hour a day, and I would still make crazy money.
You are definitely you are an entrepreneurial type of a person, but sometimes you need someone next to you or behind your back, like a woman. What about women then? They come and they go. How was your dating life back in the day when you were so successful?
That's a very interesting question. So most women didn't understand. So I think I was attracting the wrong type of women, because if you see my social media, I don't do it in purpose. It's what we call this wealth signals. They are there. They come, they see the Forbes article, they see the Dzień dobry TVN, and I just think I'm a billionaire. I'm not. Again, I'm broke. We need sponsors, guys, please. No, but seriously, I was always attracting the wrong type of women. They were the most beautiful, gorgeous, sexiest, naughtiest, crazy girls, and I had so much fun. I have all love for them, but it never lasted,
Why?
Because there was no substance, and
because they loved your money and your appearance.
I wouldn't.
Not you, the Kamal.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So this is a revelation, because I think there is a big, big disconnect from the Kamal you see on Instagram and the Kamal me. Because the ones that know me very well, they know I am not that guy who's on Instagram. And then when I say that guy on Instagram, I'm not saying the guy who's... It's just like too much, for example, I'm just like very open and I broadcast my life pretty much because it's my job. But once that job is finished, I'm just a guy. I want to be left alone. I just want to write my little article and, you know, it's just a normal... And so when there is this disconnect, people feel, or mainly girls, they feel like they are, I wouldn't say cheated, or they're a little bit maybe disappointed. Yeah. And I'm also not this guy who's going to spend money on you, buying you bags and shit if you don't show value first.
You remember we talk about, with my interview, we talk about this girls like, oh, I need this, provide me this. Like, this is, I don't know, how do you feel about Polish women? But in general, like in the social media era, we have those very vain people that are expecting and not giving anything instead. So have you been disappointed by Polish women at that point?
Disappointed? Probably not, because I could tell. I could tell which woman is here for the money and which one is for me, because it is very useful. And honestly,
how do you know this?
I just know. I just know. It's like there are some, you know, aspects.
Because you were teaching people how to hit on women, and then you were like, girls were all over you, but you had no serious relationship. You couldn't create any serious relationship back in the time.
I mean, I did. I had a serious one in 2014 with Claudia, and it lasted, I think, a year as well. It was also very genuine. But the girls I stay with, they don't understand my type of work. Because that means I really need a lot of freedom. And it doesn't mean, you know, fucking around. And I just need to be left alone, especially when I want to create. So when they see me working only 2 hours a day and making this insane money, they think I am free, which is not. My day probably is 6 hours thinking and 2 hours working. And then these 6 hours, I need to really be left alone, which means I need to go to the gym. I need to do some meditation. I need to read my book. You can be fine. You can be in the room with me. That's fine. And so for them, he's like, well, you have all this free time and you didn't call me. You didn't text me. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. I'm like, oh, you know. So there is always, to be honest, I don't think I ever dated like a woman who was an entrepreneur, to be honest. She was always like a model or, you know.
So you had your time. So why did you choose model?
I don't choose them, they chose me.
Poor
but
Kamal.
yeah, you know, tough life. No, but
so
honestly,
from what you said, it seems like if you're a successful person, it's not that easy to commit a serious relationship because you have your own, you know, things. Like you said, I need to be alone. I know what you say because I have exactly the same feelings in my life. Like, you know, people believe I am always on a spotlight. I am this, you know, superstar. But, you know, at home, I'm just a regular Karolina. I just eat, you know, like regular food. I spend time with my son. And sometimes the expectations of people about us are crazy. Yeah, and then once they meet us, they are like, oh, my God, you're a different person. I thought you were someone like we are human beings at the end of the day. So to be successful, it's great. Because all your story, the past 1 hour as we speak, it's an amazing thing. It's so inspiring. But at the same time, I want to talk about this that is not that popular, about the sadness. I have the sadness in me. You know, when I fail, there is no one next to me, just by my son and my family. You failed. I know about this dark night of your soul. Can you tell me about the dark night of your soul?
Yeah, so it's connected to what you basically said. You know, having access to a lot of money, beautiful women, I am unstoppable. I am this god, you know. Plus the love of people I had here. It's like, and I started to realize this when I met this woman from Canada. I met her in Mykonos, Natasha, and we had this incredible, let's say, holiday, explosive love. We spent crazy 4 days together, and I invited her to Poland.
Yeah.
I said, come to Poland. So she came, we go out, and she was so shocked that I knew so many people that this kind of, she thought it was almost fake, you know. She's like, how is this even possible? You are walking in the street and people are like coming to you. And it's true, because, you know, Warsaw is very small. You know, you walk and you meet a lot of people.
Yeah, you do.
And so this attention was all on me. And I think that was my Achilles, you know, heel, my weakness point, as I craved this attention. I love to be under the spotlight. And I remember we went to CeraVe, and because she was looking different than us. She's from Canada. And the girls, they were just like coming to me, like to say hi. And every type of girl, you know. And to me, that night, I was like shocked, but I knew they just do this because it's fun, you know. And she's like, these girls are not respecting me. They are just coming to you, saying hi to you. Nobody asks my name. Why, you know? And it made me think. It's like, man, this is like a drug. Because part of the reason I love, you know, to go out is just to meet these people that kind of adopted me. And so the beginning of the dark soul begins, because I realized, and especially when Corona came, that I have designed my life around these party people, around these fake friends. I mean, I don't call them fake friends. Still, we have incredible parties and everything. But outside the parties, nobody calls me, you know? Few of them, obviously. I have close friends, probably. But 90% of them, they just don't care. They just care about, you know, the bottles on the weekend, about the VIP list, all the glamorous aspect of the parties. And I realized that I have no friends that I could actually do things with here, you know. And so that was 2020, February, and boom, Corona.
Yeah, the COVID.
And I'm like, okay. And that's when I was completely cut. And I think because I was this social animal, that I craved this kind of attention, and I wanted to be surrounded by people, surrounded by love, showered by love, and which was sadly gone. I basically had nothing. And I told you the business was slowly failing, which is the worst, by the way. It's like you rather fail in the business in the first year than have a slow burn. This is the worst. And so I had my failing business, no friends. We were all stuck at home. I just started to think. I was like, and I remember I had this conversation with Harry. They said, yeah, you may not have friends, but you are loved. And there is some people who truly love you here. And I said, you're right. You know, I have this Moroccan guy that he's my brother. And I have here Mache and Norbert. You know, I was like, you know what? I'm good. And, you know, fast forward a couple, I was still going through this, you know, trying to understand what I'm actually doing here, you know, because your family is not here. It's like, well, what's the point of all of this, you know?
Have you been thinking about going back to Morocco and saying, yes, it did not went as well as I thought. I did it amazing, and now I'm just, you know, going as...
So here's the thing.
It's not, yeah.
It's a great question because, like I said, it's the hero's journey. You have to take the learnings and go back so you can feel the change.
It's the odyssey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When I go back to Morocco now, I still feel like I'm not ready for them to be there. I know it sounds funny, but there are some little things that pisses me off still. And one thing that I love about Poland is the sense of security that I feel here. I can go out 3, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., nobody gonna dare talk to me or even bother me. In Morocco, no. I probably, if I go like this, which I used to go to clubs here, I mean, 4 a.m., I like to walk home after the club so I can freshen up. If I go like this in Morocco after the club, I'm done.
So
I will attract really bad people.
are you trying to say that you've lost your Moroccan...
Yeah, I did.
Like you?
I did. You know why? Because I
You don't
remember...
fit to your own homeland anymore?
No, that's the problem. You lose your identity, and that's the price you have to pay when you migrate.
So you're the underdog now?
Now you're like between two worlds, trying to find your place. But it will come, because my vision, I will definitely go back to Morocco. That is 100%. Because my parents would grow old, and they need some care. And I will not live here forever. That is 100%. It's just not now. It's just, maybe in 10, 20 years, I don't know, in 30 years probably. But I am now at that phase where you lose, 90% of your friends, where your identity is also, because I'm approaching 40. In 2 years, I'll be 40, or maybe in a year. And that's like a whole new chapter. And all this learning, all this crisis, all these lonely nights and the darkest night of soul that you mentioned is so that you can enjoy the second chapter of your life. And that's when you will find your true identity. And at this point, I have to accept it. It's a Polish-Moroccan identity. And I don't know where that ideal place would be,
So I'm looking at your baby.
Oh, yeah.
This is Meknes. So that's the second part of your life, of the story of the podcast. So that's meknes.com. Go and check the website. I always wanted to do
Please buy.
Now,
please. We need money.
Now, please take a minute to check the meknes.com.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
Leather craftsmanship from Morocco. He didn't pay me for this. But this is what you have created. And I need you to ask about what happened that you became a designer. What was the idea behind it?
So I wouldn't call myself a designer. Let's be clear. I like to sketch concepts and everything, and then I hire designers and they do the thing. It's like the pochettes. I would, imagine some flowers and stuff, give to the designer, make it perfect, then produce it. But Meknes was exactly the idea behind being this ambassador of Morocco to Poland, because people were, let's just say it like this, they were fascinated by the story I was telling. And
by your success as well. Because I think, when you see a person from Morocco that is that successful, you might think, oh my God, these people are amazing, right? So like you said, you were the ambassador of this country. Have you felt the responsibility behind this?
Oh yeah, 1,000%. Because again, we're going to go to politics again here. The reason I loved Poland is that the Polish people showed curiosity when I said Morocco. They didn't judge. Now, when I go to France, when I used to go to France, and I say I'm from Morocco, you could see in their eyes, they are like, fuck, not again,
Yeah.
That pisses, not all of them, let's be honest. We're not putting everybody in the same basket, but they cannot help. It's just the way it is. They are, tired of the bad apple, as we say, and I can 1,000% tell you it's an unconscious reaction from people who seen this too much. This, I didn't find it in Poland. People are like, hey, this guy is interesting. What is his story? And so it allowed me to tell my story. And I love storytelling. Storytelling is everything. And I was like, yeah, I'm this kid from Morocco. This girl broke my heart. I came here. I got love from Polish people. And I decided to stay. It's a very simple story. But then they would say, well, what's Morocco? Where is it? We're talking about like 2008. And so it was kind of fresh still. I was like, well, Morocco, we have this, we have that. We invented leather goods in Morocco. Okay. You have to know that. The leather craft, it was Moroccans, especially the techniques of tanning leather. It was a Moroccan invention. Just because they are Arabs, they got lazy. So the Italians, they came in the 13th century and they stole, the French and the Italians, they stole the technique and they improved it. But Moroccans, they are still tanning the leather the classic way, which is disgusting, and they're going to definitely stop it. And so this was something I was always saying, like, hey, did you know that the bag you have is actually a Moroccan invention somehow?
Wow.
And they're like, wow, interesting. And that's when I said, well. And then the story of Meknes is I actually was in France, back to France. I was walking with this bag, not this one, with the bag that my grandfather gave me. And he wanted to buy it out of me. He's like, man, this bag is incredible. Can I buy it? I was like, no, you can't, but maybe one day. So I came back to Poland, and this idea was running freely in my, head. And I said, you know what? I need to do a leather brand. And, rest is history. We did Kickstarter, which is a crowdfunding platform. And we did this incredible movie, like a short movie, 10 minutes or something, telling the story about Morocco and how we designed the bag, etc., etc. And the rest is history.
Meknes was your baby, and it was also a reason you came back to Morocco. Can you tell me something more about the Dragon's Den show on Moroccan TV and your success with the craftsmanship?
Wow. So here is it. That time, so we have Corona, yeah, it's going. So the business actually boomed. Again, incredible success. We were selling masks, with fancy, and it's just, I thought I was like, this is it, I am back. And we were like making, again, so much money that, again, I did the same mistake. I didn't know what to do with it. I was just like, I wanted to do T-shirts, I want to do jewelry, I was just like splashing money left and right, doing stupid things, which is why I came to the conclusion I am not a businessman, and I don't want to be a businessman. I'm just the creative mind, just where we're doing this podcast now. So
okay,
I understood this later, because we have another episode to go. Like, because cash flow is everything in business. And if you don't have cash flow, you die. And, when Corona was here, people were stuck home and they were ordering online. So we had so many orders that the money I was seeing, I thought it is actual money, but it was not. After this, it was cost of production, marketing, DHL, shipping, etc., etc. At the end of the year, I was like, well, what is the money? What is my money? I couldn't even pay myself a salary. And so my depression began, because it was so out of place and not fair, because I was like working day and night and to grow the business. And we had no money. Company is on the verge of bankruptcy. And I remember I started drinking myself into oblivion, and I went to this party because it was 21 at that time, and the clubs opened, the restaurant opened, and I just wanted to go all in, and I was drinking so much that I didn't get drunk. I know it doesn't make sense because it was so much in my head. So I said, you know what, this is not mine, I have to go back home. So I come back home around 4 a.m. and I'm not feeling sleepy. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to check my emails or whatever. I opened the laptop and I checked the emails. I said, okay, I'm going to check LinkedIn. And then I see this guy, the advertisement for Dragon's Den Morocco. They're like, hey, if you have a company or an interesting product, please apply. And I clicked that link. It was too late. It's like, we closed the applications today. And I refused to give up because I'm a very spiritual person. And like I said, I love partying. I sleep around, 5 p.m. the next day. But that night, I left the party early, and I felt almost like this calling to go home and do something. And that meant for me to do this Dragon's Den. So I quickly did some research behind the person who was behind it, and I wrote to him an email.
Like producer,
the producer. And I wrote to him an email in LinkedIn. I said, look, man, I'm this guy. I sold myself like crazy, like I always do. Like, I've been featured in Forbes, in GQ, I have this incredible brand. We did, 400K in 1 year, blah, blah, blah. I need to be in the show. And he said, sure, this is an incredible story. Please write to my assistant. And I said, okay. So give me the email to his assistant, and I write to her. Okay. 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. She doesn't reply.
Nothing.
Like, Jesus. And then I wrote to her again. And because, I speak on a daily basis in English, I wrote the email in English, like as a reflex, and she didn't care about it. So I switched to French, and she replied immediately. And she's like, oh my God, yeah, we'd love to have you. I'm like, whoa. And so, details, when to come, filming, blah, blah, blah. And I said, all right, we do the Dragon's Den, the investment, let's go. So I pack my stuff. I go back to Morocco, and I realized that when it comes to investors, they need numbers. And even though that year we made, I remember, 400,000 euros in the first part of Corona. So, and then the second part were just losses because they were always doing stupid shit. And that gap was really bad because they in the graph, it looked so cool, like, oh my God, you were making like 100K a month. This is incredible. But then what happened in the 6 months? It's like the CV situation. When you don't work for a couple of years, they're like, what the fuck happened here? What's going on? And it's really bad. And I'm thinking, how can I
convince them to believe in you and the product?
Yeah, my pitch was like lacking numbers. So it was like, no, sorry, we're not interested. What happened here?
You were not ready to give up.
But I was like, you know what? I am not going to talk about numbers at all. If there is one thing I'm good at, it's storytelling. And I'm going to craft this story, and I'm going to make them cry. Therefore, I'm going to make them invest. And that's what I did. And this, again, is a very beautiful story. I remember I was in Morocco. In our apartment, it is by the beach. So I was going every day outside. I took my chair and I sit in the sand. The beach is empty because it was around November, so people don't usually go. And I kid you not, the moment I start writing, there was these 3 dogs, and I still have the video. I think it's in my Instagram. They just came and they sit down. They surround me as I'm writing the script for the pitch. The pitch was like the next day. And it felt like some angels came. And I was so inspired that I written this thing like in 10 minutes. And it was perfect. I was like, wow. So I pack my things, I go back home, and I said, I'm going to try this pitch on my mother to see if she's going to feel anything, And I say, Mom, can you sit down? I need your attention for a while. She's like, yeah. And I start this. And the pitch was like this. I said, the Germans have their cars. Americans have the finance. But we, Moroccans, we have leather and craftsmanship. And then I remember she was like immediately hooked. And I said, in 2008, before my trip to Poland, my grandfather came to me and he gave me this bag that he bought in the 60s or 50s. He gave me one advice. He said, son, believe in yourself and just have fun. And, the story, the rest is history, as I say. Then I explained how I met the guy in France. He gave me his business card, and I called him. Then I did Kickstarter, and, and she was like, okay, this is it, son. And of course, the next day I was practicing more, adding more details, more colors, more images. And I remember this is, again, a very interesting experience because I never felt that way. So I was like scared like a little baby because the studio was, first of all, humongous. Like the production was 1 million people, And I remember the producer came to me. It was a French guy. He's like, look, man, this is what's going to happen. We're going to say 3, 2, 1. You're going to go. You're going to stand here. You don't move. You look to that camera. But if you make a mistake, it's okay. We can record. But hey, it was so overwhelming. I'm like, Jesus. And then there's the investors. And then there's the other companies, the competition, the other startups. And I was so stressed. But then in a second, I felt this energy go through my body. It's like my soul has connected with the external world, and it says, okay, you're going to be just fine. And so I became so focused, like, I call it this moment, like I was Steve Jobs for a moment. I remember I was with my two friends. I was not talking, They're like, remember to say this, and I was just in my zone. Yeah. The whole thing I was thinking about is the pitch, is the story. And I still have the videos. I probably can put them as a B-roll in the final edit. And I was this man, like, so focused, so laser focused. And the guy is like, 3, 2, 1. I was like, hi.
Action.
And I delivered the pitch in 20 minutes with no mistake, no whatsoever. That everyone was like clapping, like it was a standing ovation. Obviously, we got the deal. They gave us the money. But the producer, the style, everyone was like, oh my God, that was so beautiful. Everyone was emotional. And I'm like, man, storytelling is everything. And so we got the money and we developed a new line, the belts, etc., etc. And we kept going for 2 years. But now, again, we're switching the strategy. We're thinking to go into the cosmetic space. So I am slowly, and this is a scoop, this is an information for everyone. I'm slowly gonna, I think, disconnect myself from the project, even though it's my baby, because my sister is getting involved now, and I think she's gonna take up my role of the CEO, because it's not like I don't feel it anymore. I don't know, I feel like I have a higher mission, which is why I actually recently decided to join the startup in the skincare space.
Exactly, because I always consider you as a founder.
Yeah.
Not exactly maybe as a CEO, because I know with me, it's the same. I am very creative person, like a beast. But then when it gets like day-to-day basis, I got bored. It's also connected with my ADHD disease and stuff like this. But it's the fun of creating is the best journey itself. And then it got stuck. So
yeah, I think
can you tell me more about your new business? Why the skincare? Because I remember you had some skincare problems, right?
A lot. And again,
so was it the trigger that made you decide to?
So we're going to go back to Poland. As we started this, a Polish dermatologist completely changed my life. He gave me the perfect medicine to my skin. So the story is like this. In Morocco, while in high school, even in university, I had this crazy, because I get stressed very easily. When I get stressed, I have pimples. Even now, you can see some fucking pimples.
Like acne.
Yeah. And it was destroying me slowly because, first of all, when I was going to my dad and I was like, Mom, I need to go to the dermatologist. You can give me money. He's like, no, it's not important. You have to be a man. My father was more like this. He's like, who cares? You have to be a man. Accept it.
Because it's not masculine. Like skincare problems, it's not masculine topic.
Yeah, but I love beauty. I needed to look perfect, Okay. And I was fighting with this. And here's the story I'm going to tell you. I don't think I never told this before. Picture the most beautiful girl you've ever imagined or met in your life. She was a high school sweetheart. Everyone was in love with her. And I needed to get her because that's just who I am. I need the best. So I was working up my courage to talk to her so I can get her on a date. And I did. So I managed that she accepted, actually. She's like, yeah, that's cool. Let's go. And just like 2 days before the date, my skin completely exploded with acne because of stress, nervousness, etc., etc. And I go to my mom. I was like, Mom, what the fuck? I need something. What? She's like, son, there's nothing you can do. You have to accept it, And
I thought, guys, they don't really concern about such things. It's with me, like TV. It was everything. The skincare was everything.
Right.
But I never imagined that guys has the same problem.
I don't know. I had this. It was just bothering me. It was so bad that I remember this was a very dark, period in my life. It was so bad that I remember I never turned on the light on the bathroom because I just didn't want to look at my face. It was like really bad. And so when I went to pick up the girl for the date, I remember I had this pimple, like it was a huge one. And it's like, Mom, don't pop it, lit it. It's not healthy. I was like, no, mom, look, it's about to fucking explode. And I pick up the girl and I kiss her hello. And this fucking pimple exploded in her face. And
No, you're not telling me this. Oh my God.
she had blood like coming, streaming down her cheek. And I stood there. And I remember like almost as if I saw a ghost. And she's like, what's wrong? What is it? Do I look ugly? And I couldn't say anything. I didn't say a word. At some point, she realized, she felt it, and she's like, why do I have blood? And she freaked out, and she just ran away. And I stood there, and that experience completely destroyed my confidence. It shattered my humanity, because every time I would get a pimple, and it was occasional, like waves, it would remind me of the story. And that's why I actually was working on myself to learn how to talk to women, to get this confidence. That's actually the source. So when I came to Poland, I get my first salary. I think it was like 1,000 zlotys from this intern. And the first thing I did, I went to a dermatologist in Płock. I came, she was a lady, she didn't speak English. And I told her, I have this problem here. And she's like, okay. And she's like, take this. So I take this ordinance. I go to the pharmacy. They give me, I pay, 15 zlotys. And after 2 weeks, my skin completely cleared. And I couldn't believe it. I remember, I wasn't able to shave my face because I had so many pimples. But it was the first time in probably 7 or 8 years that I was able to shave my face and not scratch any pimples. And that felt so liberating, so powerful, that my confidence just like shot through the world,
Shout out to Polish doctors.
The Polish dermatologist.
They're the best.
And I was a completely different man from that day. I remember I was in the dormitory standing in front of the mirror, looking at my face that I didn't see for a while because I couldn't look at it.
And was it a moment you thought about yourself, I'm handsome?
That's the moment. I mean, I didn't say it in that way, but I just said, fuck, I could look to girls' eyes now and I can... Because what was bothering me is the people who are talking to you and they're like looking at you and they say like, okay, he has this, he has that. And I could see... And, I have so many stories with acne. I remember I was once in the train. I was this baby in front of me, and he was counting the pimples on my face. He was like, 1, 2, and just, these little things.
So with your mind, you were big, and then with your face,
yeah, exactly.
Feeling so
there was this
low esteem,
internal conflict,
Yeah.
And it was destroying me. So I come to Poland. I feel the energy, the awakening. People are loving me. I'm doing this blog thing. Then I go to this Polish doctor. Then he cleared my face. I'm like, man, this is heaven. I'm never moving out from Poland. And so when this company, this startup, they reached out to me, the CEO, Flora, incredible woman, very smart and very, driven. And she's like, we found your story. We love it. And we'd love to have an interview with you. Can we do it? Yeah, of course. Let's schedule a call. Then we do the call. And again, as I was about to flaunt my CV, I'm like, yeah, I did this company. I did this for blah, blah, blah. I said, no, I'm just going to tell her the story. And I tell her the exact same story, the pimple, the explosion. And she's like, well, this is our mission because we want to help people to have this incredible glowing skins. And she showed me the technology. And I was mesmerized. I was like, sign me in. I'm in. So I am now the head of brand marketing of this startup. And I am so excited of the technology we're building because it's AI, it's biosensors. It's incredible. I'm going to show it to you. You will love it. And
but you're not a founder anymore.
Well, that's what I said. If you remember our conversation, I said at some point I had to come to not the conclusion, but to make peace with I cannot be number one all the time. I'm good with man number two. she's the CEO, and I love it. I don't want to be a CEO anymore because I think I'm not cut for that. I am not that shark, that heartless CEO who just see money everywhere. I love people. I love creativity, beauty, and freedom. And that's what I excel at, branding, marketing. I love doing it. And I'm fine. She's a woman. She's a CEO. And I'm here to help her,
I can feel that the story that you just said, it's about failing and getting up. It's about leaving what you know and exploring new. It's about love for people, and it's about storytelling. I feel storytelling is such a major thing, and we are not appreciating this enough. No matter what you do, it matters how you talk about it, how you describe it to people. You're the salesman, of course. You're the boss of, commerce, e-commerce, whatever. But it's so I know now why you have started this podcast. So is it about storytelling?
Absolutely, 100%. And actually, well, thank you for mentioning this. I am now actually working on a masterclass to teach people how to master the art of storytelling. Because there's two things in life that you need to master if you want to be successful. First, master the storytelling. What is your story? You have to have a story. Second, you have to completely abolish the fear of rejection. If you see a beautiful woman, go talk to her. If you see a beautiful man, go talk to him. What's the worst that can happen? She will say, no, I'm married, I'm this, I'm that. Yeah. That's it. And you're going to just continue
Take your
on.
chance, always.
And that's the problem of people today. They are in social media, they are in their phones, and they don't even want to bother to take risks. If you're not able to take risks, look at my story. I said, I'm going to go to Poland. I didn't even know where is it in the geographically speaking, but still I had that, I don't care whatever happens, because I said, you know what, the worst that can happen, I will go back to Morocco and do my master degrees and probably work in a bank and make, I don't know, 1K a month, and I'll just die but that's not for me.
You don't, you can bet if I make it or I won't make it, but you don't lose anything. It's not a real bet. It's your life, the story is something that it's like a river. It just keeps on flowing, and it doesn't cost you a thing to just try on new things. But I have to ask you, because we've known now your story, backstory. What is your future story then? Where do you see Kamal in 5 to 10 years?
This podcast is actually becoming, it is number one priority right now. I just love meeting people, interviewing them, the subtle nuances and the stories and everything. So I think I would love to take this as far as I can. And so this will go on forever, because the feeling I have is we are creating these mini movies. It's like the episode I did with my ex. It's like nobody has done it before. And when you look at it as a project, imagine me, grandfather Kamal, chilling with his kids. I was like, look, I was dating this woman. Look at this, how beautiful she is, and how smart she is. And they were like, this is that's powerful. That's powerful storytelling. We will show them our episode. I'm like, look at this woman. She's doing this. She went to war, and that's the library we are building. The content is priceless. It doesn't matter if it will work, if it will not. I will do it no matter what. Yeah. And on the other hand, I will make it my life mission to help people still, I think, I still get, to coach people. Some people are like very persistent. Actually, they're like, I know you don't do this anymore, but please coach me. I just increased the prices to ridiculous one, but still some they still pay,
okay,
which is good. And I think this is who I am. I'll keep teaching people storytelling, confidence, and everything in between.
So no money-wise, story-wise.
Money, it's not what, this is a cliche to say.
It is, but they lost their values, while stories, they only get
exactly
the values.
Craft your story, fear no rejection.
And then go through your photos, your memories.
The nostalgia. Nostalgia is beautiful. And
I feel that, there is a lot of common things between you and me. How we started, how it got evolved, how it got stuck at some point. And I also believe this might be an inspiring story. I'm sure this is going to be an inspiring story for people who are like thinking, what should I do? How to start? Oh, I will not because I'm afraid of losing. It is a regular thing to fail. And I've told you that I failed so many times that failure is my second.
I have tremendous respect for you. You keep going.
And you just said, I feel like my failures next to your failures are like little nothing. So it's
just a perspective. It's the way how you perceive it.
But you have made so many things. Like you wrote those books. You've created all the, community of people supporting you. And then this promoting the Moroccan thing. I feel because you're almost 40, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm 20.
I have still a few years to come to catch up on you. So thank you, Kamal,
Sure. Thank
for
you.
letting me be the host of your show.
Thank you for coming. That's wonderful. There was nobody better than you to do it. So I made sure that it's gonna be you. And we're gonna have this as a seasonal or periodic episodes.
Hopefully. Okay, so all the
Thank you
best
so
for you.
much.
Thank you for having me, and I hope the next guest will be as interesting as the founder himself.
I put the bar so high.
Kamal Jahid, give me 5.
Thank you, guys.
Yay! Woo!
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Stories are the single most powerful weapon any leader can arm themselves with. They are the currency of humanity. And those who tell inspiring, emotional, powerful stories rule the world. And today, I am super excited to talk to you about storytelling. To put it simple, storytelling changed my life. It allowed me to meet the most incredible people in my life, to raise capital for my startups in Dragon's Den, and simply improve my life as a human being. And today, I would like you to do the same. So, I am excited to announce my upcoming masterclass in the art of storytelling. And so, if this is something you're interested in, I would love you to join our masterclass. So, you can leave your details below and I will be in touch. Thank you so much and see you soon.